So my presentation centers around the top asks for climate action, which the report was issued by Columbia Institute. It was launched in Winnipeg last at the FCM conference, about a year ago. No, it's actually June. So we are, at the same time while Columbia was producing that report, the City of Burnaby was also working on its report. Knowing that this was a tool that we were going to use for really lobbying the province and the federal government to make sure that we have the tools. And it was actually quite helpful to us. It was actually very exciting for us. We realized that how close we were in terms of what the top ask for climate action was, and the City of Burnaby report, which is the community energy and emissions plan, which is also known as SAV. And we realized that all actions have to be taken, and because there's there's no one solution. But you need to have all strategies working in order to make sure that you can achieve your goals. And we figured there were at least two solutions. We set two targets. One was that all action number two was that you can't do it alone. You need to have federal and provincial government helping you doing that. And if we did this ourselves, but we involve somebody else, you can see the difference. And particularly here, we try to show that city can do about half of what's a commitment that we are hoping to meet our targets, but you also need federal and provincial government doing their part, which is just about half, 21% we figured to reduction by 2032. And the ramping up of the report identifies top five priorities in the report, and similarly the seat of Burnaby has the same thing. One of them happens to be smart growth, transportation, buildings, clean and local energy, and capacity building. And if you look at this, this is one of the slides from our seat. It lists out 5 different areas that we're really focusing on: live, move, build, conserve, and manage. Those are our 5 priorities, but now this is about the asks. And as we know, something's happening on May the 9th. And if you don't know, just watch NewsHour, you'll find out. They're telling this election is happening. So what are we asking? Or at least we should ask, because we know, as I said, and we have to really be able to work together. One of the things we could ask the province to allow is to have smart growth policies, and that is to curb urban sprawl, promote compact cities, and also make some funding for such as housing and education and childcare. And net zero EC building code is important from the province, and that should continue to work on the step code that exists that will transition to net zero building someday. And the other thing, which is probably very important, I think the province should move into mandatory home energy labeling. That will help and encourage people, first, when they are making their choices to buy homes, they can see that this is going to help them achieve their personal objectives, as well as help the local government to get towards their targets. And one of the things, of course, is that we think the province should be a little bit more active in transit and active transportation. They should be paying a lot more attention to this rather than just the election time, and probably not whole lot of referendums if they really want us to proceed. Other thing we can ask the province is to help us continue to promote electrical vehicles. That currently is in there, but I think we need to more. As you can see, the numbers aren't too great yet. We all know the pollution or greenhouse gases that the vehicles do, so this would be a great bet for us. And the thermal energy, district energy, we certainly need, we could use some funding in having combined heat and power district energy that helps promote thermal energy. And certainly one of the things province can do is to have community energy and emission data. That's a tool that we all could use, which has a standard way of reporting what exists and how we are meeting our targets. Province could obviously help us in other ways as well. If local governments were given some tools, such as maybe if in the carbon tax and increasing carbon taxes to some way to help the local government fight climate action or support climate action programs. But the federal government also has a role, and I think they need to step up as well. They can also talk about national zero, net zero buildings, which they haven't really pushed. That would help all of us, and the bill is trying to move towards a future where you have the space heating and cooling, which not as much as costs us now. And the federal government could also talk about prioritizing public transit and active transportation over auto-only alternatives that we have currently. And the other thing which I believe is probably very important for the federal government would be to empowering local government to fight climate change actions. We don't exist now as far as the federal government is concerned. I think we need to make sure that there is more recognition of local governments.